I'd like to clean myself up a little first before, recording.
It's valid. I mean, you're still shiny as if you just got back from the gym, but it's moisturizer, so it's
my
fair.
secret. And moisturizing is not something I ever really did. I mean, like I have a bottle of moisturizer. I just don't use it. Well, I don't use it on my skin as often. I went to the doctor's recently, and the day I had the appointment, I decided to moisturize. She had a similar reaction to you, where you're like, "Whoa, you're really glowing today." Did you do something different with your skin routine, or using a new product or something? And I told her, I'm like, "Nope, I just moisturized for the first time in 5 years."
First time in 5 years. Honestly, I can't say anything.
That's why I'm very shiny today.
You're shiny basura. Who's gonna be the first to catch him?
Rare, extremely rare basura.
Hope it's face moisturizer. Wait, I can't just put lotion on my face.
What do you mean by that?
Well,
Is that
no.
what you're telling me right now?
I mentioned I have moisturizer, but I don't use it on my face.
Oh, okay. All right, I get it.
On tonight's episode of the Trash Guys podcast, we're talking about esports, professional gaming as a career, etc., etc. That's our topic for the night. Everybody's favorite pastime, America's favorite pastime, watching teenagers play video games really, really good.
Yeah, making you feel terrible because you've played forever, and you got this kid who was in diapers when you were graduating high school, making millions playing games. You're like, what the fuck?
Dude, I'm so upset because, like, okay, so when we were growing up, right, video games were just a hobby, and anytime we put in more than like an hour's worth, our parents would be like, "Stop playing that, you got to go to school, study, get a real job, like you can't get paid to play video games." Oh yeah, well, who's laughing now, Dad? Huh? That's right, Dad. That's right. I get paid to play games. Not as much as these esports pro. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a little, I guess the reason I really want to talk about that tonight, especially after a topic with like content creation, I feel like esports is the other side. Like, yeah, I know content creation isn't all about games, but I'd say majority of it is gamers and playing games and stuff like that. At least in my realm of like where we exist. And so on the other side of that, you have esports, right? And many esports players eventually switch over to content creating. They switch over to streaming and TikTok and things like that because it's just not profitable, which is really sad to me because I compare it to sports, right? Like you have a team, you have an organization, you have a manager, you go to games or tournaments, compete against other teams, you try and win, obviously. But like in sports, like football, for example, I mean, there are some teams that have not won the Super Bowl in fucking decades, and yet they're still paying millions to their players because they got ticket sales, merchandise, all that stuff. And I think right before COVID hit, esports was kind of finally starting to get on that track. We had stadiums filling up. We had the League of Legends in the World's Tournament. I don't remember where it was. I want to say but I could be wrong. I don't remember exactly. But they had that massive stadium completely filled to watch those two teams go at it. And it just hasn't been the same ever since COVID hit, which kind of sucks because now you have so many organizations just leaving the scene completely. They're like, okay, we're not even competing anymore. We're just going to pay for content creators and all that other stuff. So, I mean...
So here, you are a lot more knowledgeable when it comes to the world of esports than I am. But what I can say is I did keep up a lot with Overwatch League, which was the esports league for Overwatch, the game, which is now truly dead and gone, and I miss it very much. But that's a whole separate thing. The reason I bring that up, though, is because Overwatch League, you mentioned like traditional sports. Overwatch League wanted to do a like franchise sports system similar to the way traditional sports like football, baseball, etc. are already handled. And for esports, at least at the time, back in 2018, it was really unheard of. Because esports were very much like a grassroots type thing, and the teams that played were just the organizations they represented themselves. Overwatch League comes in and was like, yeah, we're going to have franchise teams based in like cities around the world, and that's going to be like our league model. And you also mentioned COVID. Same thing happened. Overwatch League was like trending upwards. It was like the future of esports, baby. They were going to start having like regular weekly games at these venues in this respective cities so that they could get like home crowds for their teams to attend, right? And then just COVID happened. And all those plans went to shit. They had to switch to an online format, and coupled with like the poor handling of the game itself, it just kind of spelled disaster for the league. And I'm building up to something because just today, convenient, because we decided on this topic yesterday, and the news came out today that the Overwatch League is basically done. It's not like super done. What's going to happen is the Overwatch League is going to play out the rest of the season, and at the end of the season, they're going to give each of the 19 teams a choice of whether they want to continue with the league or whether they want to get a $6 million buyout so that they can leave the league. And basically every esports pundit is saying, yeah, of course they're going to take the $6 million. Overwatch League has not been profitable. All the teams and organizations involved have been bleeding money. And so they're just going to be like, all right, let's take the 6 mil and dip. And then we don't have to deal with this shitty league anymore. So that's like one arc of a game's venture into esports that did not fare so well.
I just think the timing of it is so crazy with the whole COVID thing, because just if even a couple months before COVID hit and really started going, right? If I'm remembering my timeline correctly, on July 29th, 2019, a 16-year-old kid wins $3 million in the first and largest tournament, right?
Yeah.
That was like the turning point where parents saw that and people saw that and were like, holy shit, there's like something you can do about it, right? Like you had all these players, even the people that didn't win, getting thousands of dollars, because obviously it didn't just go to first place, right? They had places and things like that. And Fortnite's not a team event either. So you have individuals able to compete for money, and compared to all the other esports games up to this point, Siege, Rocket League, Overwatch, Call of Duty, all these things that are team-based, right? You have to be able to go on in a team. So whatever you win is through your organization and split, and you have the fees that are paid to your managers and all that other stuff. This kid just fucking played Fortnite solo, won some money, and fucking probably paid his parents.
Not like, just some money, guy. It was $3 million.
Yeah, I probably could have worded that better. But
yeah, the kid's name was Bugha or Bugha. I honestly forgot how they pronounce it.
I think it was
Bugha. 16 years old. Jesus Christ. What would you do at 16 years old if you won $3 million?
Bro, I don't even think I'd be here. If I was 16 years old years ago and won money, I guarantee you I would not have turned content.
You would have. You would have what?
I don't know. I would have fucking bought my shit, got my life together, probably gone into investing or some shit. I don't know. Honestly, I wish I could tell you. I fucking hate things like that. Like, what would you do? Because I fucking know, man. You think I know what I do? I'd have that $3 million. I'd be like, what do I do? Someone help me. I can't decide. So much money.
I think it's funny you say you wouldn't become a content creator, because I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Bugha did. Like, after winning
really?
this $3 million Fortnite tournament, he just kind of went all in on streaming and content creation. And I think it worked out pretty well for him, but after the initial like COVID spike of like viewership and all that, I don't think he's streaming.
I didn't
as
even know
much
that, because I've
anymore.
never heard of him after this tournament. Like his name just fell off the planet for me.
Same. I had never heard of him before, and I didn't hear much about him afterwards. It was like this was his like one moment in the day.
But I mean, does he really need much more? As long as he manages that money, he's kind of set for life.
I mean, honestly, yeah, $3 million is like kind of insane.
I mean, if you think about it, if you did win $3 million at a gaming tournament and you finally got your name out there, it probably would be a good opportunity to just continue to game and make content creation and streaming like a career, because then you just keep doing what you're doing and make a constant cash flow. Well, but I don't know.
That's what a lot of esports players do nowadays.
Yeah, you're right.
When their game is like in the off season, or like just on days they're not practicing with their team or whatever, they go home and they stream. and they continue to like build their own personal brand. You see with like a lot of Valorant players, a lot of Smash Bros players are like this, and some of them even like will end up dropping their like esports career in order to pursue content creation, you know? I know, again, the examples I'm giving are mostly going to be like Overwatch and Smash Bros players, just because that's really the only esports scenes that I follow closely. But you know, there was a professional tank player named Super, who was probably widely considered one of the best tank players of all time, and you know, built up a brand for himself while he was in the Overwatch League, and then after a few years was like, all right, I'm done. No longer plays professionally, with the exception of like a World Cup appearance this year. But other than that, he's basically just been like full-time streaming. And I know it's not just him, you know. Another one of my favorite esports players, a Smash Melee player named Mango. Really funny guy. But he streams a lot. He streams like, because Smash is like a solo game, you don't have to, there's no like team to practice with, you know, the practice is all on you. And so he'll stream himself grinding Smash Melee like in preparation for an upcoming tournament. And then when the tournament's over, if there's not another tournament in the near future, he'll just do whatever. He just chills. I really think that he's a bit on the older side of things as far as like esports players are concerned, because like, let's be real, like esports players are very, very young. You know, you peak very early in life in that industry. But he's setting himself up for like, you know, a long-term career of being able to just continue streaming, and he doesn't have to compete professionally anymore. So I think the esports pro player to content creator pipeline is very real and is a lot more common than I think you think.
I guess I wasn't necessarily saying like going from esports to content creation isn't the route I would take. But like, I was specifically relating it to like Booga's situation, right? Like, I suppose, yeah. You did a solo tournament, won $3 million. Like, I could see myself going the streaming route. I could see myself not going the streaming route. Like, it would depend on like, at that point in life when I was 16, my plan was to fucking go into computer engineering, fucking getting software degrees and certifications, and like going to computers. So at 16 years old, if I won $3 million, who knows? I might have tried to fucking start a business or some shit. Who fucking knows, right? Like, so it kind of, I guess it would depend on where each person's at 16 years old and what their plans are, what their goals are.
Dude, I think at 16 years old, I was just like trying to get a girlfriend and like not fail my classes. I think that was all I aspired at that time, because that would have been like what, my like junior year of high school, something like that. Yeah, I wasn't even really thinking about college too much. I was just like, yeah, I guess I gotta make sure I get good grades so that I can apply the following year. But yeah, that those were my aspirations in high school, was like, you know, just try and raise up some girl and then not disappoint my parents. And I'm proud to say I failed in both of those regards.
Nice. Now, I do want to kind of keep on the subtopic of like prize pool real quick while we're talking about esports and things like that. Gamer 8 Esports, big esports festival is returning in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I don't know if I said that right, but with a prize pool of $45 million.
Yeah.
On July 6th.
I heard about
happened. That. But like, are you kidding me? 45 million. That is what's the word? Like, that's just unfathomable.
Just a stupid amount of money.
Like, to me, it's like 3 million's a lot. Now fucking multiply that by way too much. It's more than most people could ever imagine having in their lifetime.
Right. But let's break it down a little, because I don't believe the 45 million was all for like one game or whatever. It was the total, and it was split between different games. Yeah. What
like
were the games involved?
This event, I have an old article here. I couldn't find the newest one. For example, though, in the past they've done Rocket League, Dota 2, Fortnite, Rainbow Six, and PUBG Mobile. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4,
wait. PUBG Mobile, not just like PUBG regular Mobile. PUBG.
PUBG Mobile.
Why PUBG Mobile specifically?
That I couldn't tell you. It was an old one, but
that's so weird.
Yeah, so I mean,
that's like
you got PUBG Mobile, and I don't know.
That's like that's like, oh yeah, here's a tournament for Overwatch, except you can only play Overwatch on the Nintendo Switch version. Yeah, it's so weird. All right.
Here, let me see if I can. My keyboard needs to come out of sleep mode.
Why is your keyboard has a sleep mode?
Uh-huh.
Why?
If I don't use it after a certain amount of time, it goes sleep. It goes nighty-night.
But why? What's the point in that?
Power save. Because it's wireless, so it saves so it lasts longer. Yeah, I have a wireless mouse.
I forgot you have like wireless everything, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You got like a wireless headset, wireless keyboard, wireless mouse. Bro, I'm just like I don't want to have to deal with things like battery life and like connectivity issues, so I'm wired all the way, baby.
That's fair. That's fair. See, I just tried going to that tournament's website and I forgot it was hosted.
It was what?
And it was hosted in Saudi Arabia, so everything was in Arabic. I was like, I can't read that.
Nope.
Okay, so it looks like we have some Fortnite. We have Tekken 7 and some examples here. Okay. So Tekken 7, Team Pakistan won $500,000. FIFA Club World Cup, RBLZ Gaming won $300,000. FIFA E-National, I don't know what these different FIFA means, but won $120,000. And then Fortnite Duo won $500,000, so they won $250,000 each.
I see.
Now, this type of stuff I feel like could be really cool if it wasn't so individual, right? Like we're talking about sticking to the esports future like topic, right? Like these are all individual players that either got invited or signed up for this. They're winning this money. Cool, awesome, love it. Okay, game and win money. However, in the sense of esports itself, it sucks because you have these teams that are with players that are contracted that cannot go to this because they're contracted. They can't go to these independent tournaments like that. They have to be on a team, represent the company, blah, 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 pay their cut. But they can't go to this. And obviously, these types of companies that run this stuff aren't going to make deals with the companies that have these players. So they're just like, all right, whoever can come, whatever. And these are the prizes we have, right?
Yeah.
So on a gamer sense, awesome tournament. On a esports sense, it's like showing that there's so many other avenues and unnecessary esports itself is becoming, I should say. Do
you think in like 2023 it's better if you were going to be an esports like player, a professional gamer, would it be better to play a solo game, something like a battle royale or like a fighting game, or be a part of an organization with like a full team for team-based games like a Valorant, for example? What do you think would be better? Because looking at like looking at like articles like the thing about the Gamers 8 stuff, I feel like individual performances give you more opportunities. You just have to be really good because you don't have anybody to rely on. That's kind of the trade-off.
I feel like it depends on what your goals are after. I feel like it's way easier for people who are part of an organization, part of a team, afterwards to switch the content creation and maintain a following, right? Like you have Shroud, who was in esports forever ago, back in the CSGO days. You have Summit 2 back in the CSGO days. You have other people that are from back then that were part of the organization when it started going that have kept it because of that. Granted, they're fucking goated gamers. I'm going to give them that. But like most of their following is a faithful following that they've had since day one, like 80% of them, right? And then you get the people we talked about. Booga earlier, he popped off, had a little fame, and then I don't think I've ever really heard of him. You said the same thing about the Smash people. They kind of fell off, just disappeared. Like they had their moment, they were famous, they probably had whatever, but then obviously in those solo places, right, unless you do something, you make some type of impact. For example, Summit has his Molly. I don't even know if you know what I'm talking about. There's like this Molly meme about Summit where he...
Oh, wait, no. Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah, he kills himself in his own Molly after winning the round. So they lose the round. Yeah.
Something like that is just like lasted the years, right? If you have something like that type of impact that will last the test of time and keep those people like remembering you in your own solo game, solo tournament, whatever, then I think you have a chance of maintaining. But I feel like there's just so many people that rotate in and out of these games that there is no loyalty, right? Like you have, it's almost like sports teams, right? You have people that are, I'm a CLG fan, or I'm a fan, or a C9 fan, whatever. And then they latch on to maybe like a couple people, and they're like, oh, bring back so-and-so, bring back tens to fucking Sentinels or whatever it is.
Guy, I'm
And
gonna
so-
need you to slow down because I'm having a hard time keeping up, and there are people that don't even know what a molly is.
Fair enough. So
Okay.
Molly is short for Molotov. It's I assume we all know what a Molotov is.
What the fuck?
It's an in-game thing, and it's a shooter game, and he killed himself with his own fire in a very, very big tournament. I think it was the finals. I don't know if I don't remember exactly, but he has it as a fucking emote on his channel and everything.
Yeah, basically he died to his own like grenade. It's not a grenade, but it's probably the simplest way to explain it.
Molotov is okay. For those that are just listening, chat about what is going on, and just in case you have those questions, well, a Molotov is a bottle, usually like alcohol or some type of flammable substance, with a rag through the top, glass bottle, and it is soaked in gasoline. Usually, they light the cloth on fire, and then they throw it so that when the bottle breaks, it's just a big explosion of fire.
Guy, we're
There you
supposed
go.
to be doing an episode on esports, not describing how to make at-home weapons. I feel like this is gonna get us. I feel like this is gonna get us on some kind of list.
Yo,
The
just
FBI is
bleep
gonna come
out-
after
just
us.
Bleep that whole out. I didn't say anything. I was
Just
we gotta keep the fans happy. They're confused. Anyways, moving on.
If Guy starts talking about how to make pipe bombs, this fucking show is over.
All right, moving back. Anyways, what were we talking about? Oh, the difference.
Esports.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
I get that. The difference between like solo tournaments and like organizations, right?
Yes.
So I think I said my piece. What's your thoughts on it? Like,
I'm fully in the camp that I think if I had the choice of being, I mean, there's no universe where this happens, is I'm fucking garbage at games, but hypothetically speaking, if I was really, really good at video games and I had the choice as to like going pro, I'd probably want to go pro in a solo game. I feel like you get more recognition that way, and you have more opportunities, especially with events like the Gamers 8. You know, like you mentioned earlier, if you're if you're contracted with a team, you can't go to events like that. And the thing is, like, you know, if you think even in team games, right, there's still like standout players, right? Like I've heard of players like Tens from Valorant or like Shroud from CS:GO, but like I couldn't tell you the names of the other people on their team. So it's much harder to sort of build that like name recognition, that sort of like branding for yourself in a team game, I feel. So it just seems like overall it's just better. Esports is if you're an esports player, it's just better to go in for yourself and play you know, solo games like a battle royale or a fighting game. Or what other games, what other esports games are there where it's like one player that like wins it all?
I feel like it's mostly fighters, battle royales.
That might be it, because everything else I can think of is like a team-based game. No,
Did they ever was Halo ever solo? Halo was solo, right?
was it?
That's not a
I don't
battle
remember.
royale.
That
I
that's
swore they
old.
did solo Halo tournaments. I'm just thinking like in general, like past events. Because I know Call of Duty back in the day, they used to have some solo, not as much.
I know they're
things like
doing
that.
like Warzone stuff nowadays. So that would be like solo players, you know?
I mean, you can do battle royales. I mean, it's still a battle royale.
Right.
You just could do solo teams. Like I think Apex is usually they don't do solo Apex tournaments. They do usually 3-mans.
Yeah.
But definitely just as a whole, esports teams are. I feel like they're kind of shitting the bed because they're trying to make up so much of lost profit from COVID that it's just causing so much friction between like players and managers and companies, right? Obviously, the companies of these games want to make their cut. They're like, oh, you're winning millions of dollars off tournaments playing our game. It's, oh, well, you don't make enough money already, stupid. Anyways, not getting into that. But like, for example, League of Legends just back in, they had a walkout. All the NA teams, all of them decided, you know what, we're not playing. Until you meet our demands, we need to fix this because shit's whack, right? So they walked out, and this went on for a couple weeks, I want to say, where Riot was like, nope, you get nothing, right? They're like, you get nothing, you'll be back, and if you don't want to do anything, we'll find other people that'll play. That never happened, and apparently they finally came to an agreement. And just to kind of give you an idea about what the things were agreed upon, apparently things that they didn't already have, Parties agreed to $300,000 to split across the 10 NACL teams, equal representation for players and teams on a committee to determine any future changes to the practice schedule in a collaborative manner, and a commitment for teams to ensure that players have mandated healthcare available by the first day they're in the U.S. So apparently one of the issues is teams, organizations were bringing in players from the other team and then not providing them healthcare and not providing them benefits as to their American players, and maybe just giving them like more money or something like that.
So
and then Riot was refusing to enforce anything on these organizations.
So this is essentially kind of like their attempt at forming, sounds like a players union almost.
Kind of, yes, which I feel like would have never been necessary had we just had some like basic human decency, right? Like, yes, well, I mean that's just, and you need to make some money, but like if you don't have players to play, you're not making money anyway.
Dude, that's just unions in general. That's why they exist to begin with, is because corporations don't have basic human decency.
Yes, I get that. Now, it does beg the question, maybe for another day, of player union spending out into more games. I mean, obviously, this is just League of Legends, and this is the first time anything, like, I've never heard of teams just walking out on playing, like, splits, right? Like, I don't know if Overwatch did splits, right? Like, summer split, winter split, anything like that.
Kinda, yeah, a little bit. It was a little different for them, but...
Yeah, so, I mean, this is definitely a step in the right direction for players. So, I think as long as esports can last over the next few years, if things like this keep happening and players keep fighting for, like, what they rightfully deserve, right? Like, it should never depend... I think the problem with this type of thing, with the way these games are set up compared to like solo games, right? You go to a Fortnite tournament, it's one tournament, you win or you lose, you can get some money, right? But these teams play game after game after game after game, and they're set on a very small salary. So it's in, and then if they win at the end, they get that large sum. Very similar to like real sports, right? You don't get a payout every game you play, but you're on a very large contract, right? And you get paid enough. Then at the end, they're like, yeah, it's like a good incentive for you to like want to actually really try and do these. Like I've watched some games recently in some esports scenes where the players are playing it like it's ranked online. And you've played ranked online and then watched an esports of that same game, they're completely two different styles of play. Like these players are just not caring anymore because there's so little incentive. It's like none of what I do matters now if I don't, right? And it's like, if these guys offered them like, hey, game win bonuses, round win bonuses, or just like better contracts overall, there might be more of an incentive, right? And then it's like, hey, you're not performing well, put in someone else. And then they're like, oh shit, all right, but it's just, I don't know. Obviously, I don't have people's direct contracts right in front of me. I don't know the exact details, but with all the shit that's happening with players and such a large swing into more content creation focus compared to esports, there's obviously something that's not right.
I want to know why you think traditional sports survived COVID, whereas esports is collapsing. Because we both agreed that, like, prior to COVID, esports was on the come up, right? But where does esports differ from, like, traditional sports in that one was able to sort of, like, weather the storm and the other is just sort of about to disappear, in a lot of games at least?
Internet.
You think that's it? You think it's just the internet?
If you take any, almost, I don't know all of them, but I'm 90% sure in that pretty much every type of competitive game is streamed on Twitch. Every tournament, every split. Heck, I can watch the Korean split from home, right, for free. If you want to watch football, basketball, whatever, you have to pay for some type of TV package. You have to pay for some type of monthly membership. You have to go to a bar and pay to eat and drink there and watch it on their TVs where they pay for contracts with these companies to be able to show it at their business, right? Like, you have to pay to watch. You have to get a ticket to go. I don't have to go. I can sit right here. I can pull up Korean League. I can pull up Overwatch. I can pull up Rainbow Six all at the same time and watch all of those tournaments for free. All of those games for completely free. And not maybe watch a couple ads, but I mean, you watch commercials on TV anyway, even though you did pay for watching it, right? Like,
right.
So That's what killed it. They became, when they couldn't hold tournaments, they're like, okay, we'll just open it up a lot, right? And we'll stream everything. And I don't think they ever pulled back on it out of fear of backlash.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just losing money. Like, I think, didn't FaZe at one point, like, they were popping off and they're like, oh, we're gonna open up a stock, and then shit happened, and then they just fucking crashed and burned.
Yeah, dude, they fucking FaZe fell off harder, like, on the stock market. Like, it's so bad. It was so bad. I don't even remember what the start price started at, but it's just like a fraction of that at the moment.
Well, here's the thing. I saw they were really well known for Call of Duty, and like, they're good gamers, right? Like, they were solid gamers. Like, back when I was playing Modern Warfare 2, there was such thing as trying to join FaZe Clan and be in their trick shot. Like,
I remember all the other like 14-year-olds. They put like FaZe as their clan tag because they wanted to be FaZe so bad.
But you could literally go on to FaZe's website and look at their like all official members. Like, it was crazy, right? And then they didn't know how to like be content creators was the thing. They knew how to be gamers, right? And we've had this talk about content creation and just playing a game. And I saw a tweet from Mr. Beast a while, I don't remember exactly when, but he tweeted like, you guys need some better management because and he tweeted at FaZe, like a response to one of FaZe's tweets. Yeah. In a response to one of FaZe's tweets, he tweeted something like, you guys need better management. I went there and not one person that I talked to knew anything about any form of content creation. He like put them on blast about not knowing shit about how to be content creators.
Dude, if Mr. Beast says that your fucking content is trash, that's it, dude. GG's. Yeah. I would retire. If Mr. Beast saw my streams, if Mr. Beast watched this show and was like, yeah, man, this shit sucks, I think that'd be our last episode. I think I would just hang it up. I would just quit. I would retire for real.
Mm-hmm. But I think, again, that kind of ties into that transition, right? Like, I don't think esports is a long-lived plan for most people. What's crazy to me is how early people peak in esports compared to, like, real sports, right?
Yeah.
Like, football, basketball, we got people playing in their 40s and shit. Mm-hmm. You got esports, like, you're 25. Well, we got this 10-year-old that's fucking up. Like,
yeah, if you're like,
so fast, I don't understand it.
It's true. I'm already past there's no universe where me at my age could ever become an esports pro. I just can't keep up. I don't have like the mechanical skill of some guy whose balls haven't even dropped yet. You know, like, how am I supposed to compete with that? I got like a job. These kids just have to come home and grind out Fortnite all day. That's all they gotta do.
Hey, I'll be home. I'll be home at 5:00. I don't have any type of practice because I have no social life, whatever. So we can practice for 7 hours. I'm just gonna skip. Don't worry about it. We're fine.
Yeah.
And then we do it the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and I'm like, Jesus fuck. I'm busy trying to find time just to do all my extra shit. Of stream, work 2 jobs. We had
to delay today's episode by like almost 40 minutes just because I needed time to shower. I mean, it was worth it though. Look at how glowing my face is.
You're great, Basota.
I'm positively. So I almost said vibrating. I wanted to say vibrant, but that came out wrong.
I hope you're not vibrating. You might need to see a doctor for that.
I really hope I'm not either.
Now, take me. So I've been more into, we were talked about like the team versus individual side. I've always been into teams. It's from League of Legends, watching Cloud9, SKT, to Rainbow Six Siege, to Valorant, other shit. Like, I've always been on the team side of that spectrum. I've never really watched like solo like fighter games, or I even know Tetris tournaments and all sorts of other shit. Like, take me into the world of those. Like, how do you think those will last in the future? Like, any issues there?
I think a lot of the issues do have crossover, but if I do think the individual games have much stronger staying power, because when you look at an org, they have to pay for 3, 4, 5, sometimes more people just to be able to compete in the game. Whereas with the solo sports, it's just you. It's just like one person. And so I know a lot of organizations are starting to like field more players. I know Luminosity just signed on the Smash Bros. Side of things. They signed for Ultimate MK Leo and Tweak, 2 of the best players in the world. what else? There free agents in Smash Bros don't really last that long because they just get snatched up by esports orgs because they're really cheap. You know, there's not a lot of money to be made in Smash Bros. But what we talked about earlier is where the content side of things for an esports org is very important because that is essentially their only income pipeline is the content that they make. And so it is easier to field a talent or a personality when it's one person rather than like a team of people, right? Because I'm going to be honest, I've seen some videos for team sports like Overwatch League or Valorant, right? And they're like, we talked to esports pros and we got their thoughts, right? They try to make like a cute little video and like they're boring. I'm just going to say it straight up. They're boring. And that's fine because their primary focus is not to be entertaining, right? It's to work with their team and win tournaments, win games, stuff like that. But it's just like they try so hard to make certain esports players in the team sports seem interesting. You know, there was one that I saw for Valorant. There was a new agent release recently, Deadlock. But before she was like officially announced, they made a video where they were like, we showed off the upcoming agent to esports pros, to like the people that were playing in VCT, right? And other than maybe two of the guys, they were all boring. All of their reactions to like being the world's first to see this new character, right? Exclusive behind the scenes content, right? A sneak peek before anyone else gets to see her. Their reactions, you know what some of them were? They were like, huh. Oh. Well, it was it was so boring because you know why? Because in their mind, they're not trying to make content. They're looking at this and they're
how that's going to play into their team.
Yes,
how they
exactly.
can use that or not use it. I mean,
they're being smart with the opportunity they've been given, but it doesn't make for fun content to watch. There was one guy that did the, you know, YouTuber like, whoa, and I think they used that for like the thumbnail. But everybody else that was in that video were boring as shit to watch. And so it just doesn't. So and to kind of wrap up the point, I think it's better on the individual scale because when you only have to focus on one person, it is a lot easier for their personality to come out and to shine through. And you get that a lot in fighting games. I know you don't watch it, but if you've ever watched a fighting game tournament, things get heated, dude. They fucking talk shit. All right, they have money matches on the side that are then streamed to the main audience because it's literally just a grudge match. They're like, fine, fuck it. $100, and these two guys just like they settle all their beef in the game. It's so much more hype. There's so much more shit talking, and you get so much more personality out of it versus like a team game where there's a lot more to focus on. And it's two different sides of the same esports coin. But I think because of that, because solo players are much more interesting to watch and to learn about, they make for better content, which means they have longer lasting staying power. In the grand scheme of things.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong, but every time I've seen like a clip of some type of like fighting game or like tournament or things like that, it always looks like some hunky-dory bullshit that you could set up in like your backyard. It looks like two guys on a little raised stadium.
It's very
on a table
grassroots
with a projector, and some people just standing behind them on cement.
Well, that's
like, it doesn't look like any type of like setup or like anything to like make it a big like tournament, which to me like is a big
that is how a lot of esports, and particularly like in the fighting game scene, that's how a lot of them got started. It's 100% grassroots that were just funded by people that were passionate about the game. A lot of tournament organizers, even nowadays, right, they put in so much of their own money for like production and for just like running the event itself, and they only make it back from ticket sales to be able to attend the event for spectators that want to be there live in person. But yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of them were just some guy that was like, hey, I want to put on a tournament. Let's grab some people, have them compete, and we'll just, you know, use my mom's like, you know, video camera to film the whole thing. That's how they got their start. And it's sort of kept that same level of like grassroots, that same sort of feel and vibe in a lot of tournaments today.
Now, speaking of funding, Like we were talking about funding for things like tournaments. I feel like that is one aspect where teams and kind of organizations have the up and up. Because if you think about it, right, like you want to go compete in this tournament, this Smash Bros. Tournament, you have to drop the money. Like if it's a big one, right? The chances are, unless you live in a big city in California, like you have to travel, right? You got a ticket, got a hotel, entry fee that I'm sure you pay, like all this stuff, right? For there to be a possibility of you making nothing, right? It could happen. On the flip side, at least, even though it's not that much, these players that play for organizations on team sports, if they make nothing, or if they don't win, they at least get something.
Yeah,
right?
they get paid a salary.
It's not they have that small salary. It's something, which I think is the one big benefit to that. Unless you are fucking whoever. I know there's someone you always brought up about old fighting game that you're like, oh, so and so. I don't know. It was like orange or some shit. I don't know.
Mango.
Yeah, I was like, it's a fruit or something.
No, orange is what's on my shirt, man. Like
I know, but it was like a fruit.
These are oranges.
That's a belly.
Okay, well, it's full of oranges. It's a belly full of oranges.
Anyways, but mangoes, right? You say it was like the best of the best. Like obviously, if mango go here and at least get second place or whatever, right? Like it becomes a different world at that point. But sorry, something popped up. Anyways, so I feel like in the grand scheme of things, I would like to probably be more part of a team, just simply for that guaranteed income, even though if it isn't that much. And I feel like then I could tie that over to content creation, because I feel like I'm that type of content creator anyway, where like I like to just play the game and have fun. I like to play the game, see where it takes me, whatever. I'm not I'm going to do this and go out of my way to try and create content out of the game, right? I like to let the game be the content, see how it plays out, that type of stuff. So I feel like that would tie in the best for me compared to if I was like a solo player, right? I could be like, oh, I'm going to go try this new thing just for shits and gigs and see what happens, right? Or I'm going to go do this and type of reactions, this setting, make this mod pack in Minecraft, like all those types of things. And that's always been the hard part for me. So I think on my side, being a team, being part of an organization would be much better for me.
Okay. I think there is like a big trap when it comes to like wanting to go into a team, and that's the fact that the team can drop you at any point, which is what happens a lot in the Overwatch League. And again, I don't keep up with enough like team esports to know anywhere else, but I imagine it's another problem that might be seen in other kinds of games. I know in the Overwatch League there are rules about when players can be signed, and if you're dropped after a signing window has closed, you're just out for the rest of the season. And so that guaranteed income that you mentioned that you're like so fond of is just gone. Whereas if you're by yourself, if you're playing for you, then it's all on you to like attend those tournaments and actually get those results. I don't know. I think it really just comes down to like how good you are in your respective game and whether you can like perform well enough to stay signed to a team, or if you're on your own, whether you're able to get enough results that you can keep going to different tournaments and getting those payouts and whatnot.
Well, this is where I feel like, where do we go? Where do we make the change so that we can have the same longevity as actual sports?
Yeah.
You have a football team where 11 people field at a time, but a bench full of 30, 40 people.
But
every single person on that bench is getting paid fucking millions still. Right? Like, it doesn't matter if they're playing it. They could not put on their gear. You could see a guy that sits there with never touches his helmet. He's probably making a good $2 mil, like something.
Yeah, people make fun of bench warmers all the time, but I'm like, no, dude, that's the life. You get signed to a popular sports team. You don't play a game in your life. You just sit on the bench. You attend. You get to watch your sport and not play, and you get paid to do that. Like shit, I'd love to. I'll be a professional bench warmer, okay? I'll fucking, I'll grab my goddamn rag and I'll go to the bench and I'll be like, all right, there we go. Yeah. Oh, it's nice and warm for you. All right, LeBron, you want to sit here? It's toasty. I'll fucking warm the shit out of that bench. Great job. I don't got to do shit for money.
This by the way, this is what I'm talking about with content creation compared to game players. See, Basoda's just fucking weird and out there. That's not me.
I'm a professional streamer.
Let's see, this is what I'm saying by like you, like I think you fit that mindset of like do shit, right?
Right.
I like to be involved. I like to be involved in what I'm doing, right? Like if I'm playing a game, I'm playing that game. Like talk to chat, do whatever. But if I'm sitting there and I'm trying to be energetic and everything like that, it sometimes gets a little like I get lost in thought, right? So I feel that's where I'm like, even if I don't, like say I get dropped, whatever, right? If I joined a team, got dropped, whatever, I still have that love for the game to where I can still play that game and maybe stream it or enjoy it and just do what I did, right? I was on stage. If I was on there, I'd be on stage playing a game. I wouldn't be like worried about views or anything like that. I'm up there playing the game. If I'm streaming the game, I'm still doing that exact same thing. I'm just playing the game for whoever's watching, right? Playing with whatever online team I have, whatever, through all the rage moments. So I feel like that's where that dynamic fit into better.
So what you're saying is you would be that Korean player that has zero reaction.
Yes.
Okay. Oh. All right. Fair enough. You know what? That Korean player
that is just being honest here.
That Korean guy that made no reaction in the Valorant video, he's a pretty good player. He's a pretty damn good player.
But so sorry, going back to the question that I asked earlier, like where do we make the change to get that longevity? Because obviously you can't, as great as it would be to have like a backup team for each game and change them out as we needed, but everyone keeps getting paid, have a practice team, have a scrim team. I know Valorant did not like, I don't want to say collegiate, but they had like a backup team. Like it was like C9 Blue and C9 White, or not Valorant, but other games, and they could trade out players, but each person was on a contract, even if you're on a backup team, but that's expensive. And like I said, with the internet and everything streamed for free, you can't make revenue. You don't get anything. So people don't need to travel to see it.
You already came up with the answer, but it is unlikely to happen because it would require a cultural shift. But that would be for the viewers, for gamers to start paying to see these games. Like a subscription type service where you're like, hey, do you want to see every game this season? Like stadiums do this, right? I live a drivable distance from the Anaheim Angels, and I know that they have a season pass that you can purchase where you basically get to go to every single game that you're able to go to. I forgot how much it was. It's like, I don't know, I want to say it's like $200, but $200 and then boom, you're good to go. You just show up to whatever games that are being played at that stadium that you want to attend, just show them your pass and you're in. And I'm like, I think if games maybe if esports did something like that, right? For people that want to watch Apex, or people that want to watch Smash Bros, people that want to watch Valorant, right? You sell them like a seasonal pass that'll give them access to the streams for every game they want to watch. That's how they can maybe make
something
the revenue.
Like some type of subscription. Maybe it gets you into a private Discord server, right? And like before each stream, they post the code.
Let me tell you something.
Here's today's stream code if you're a paying member, and this is how you want to, right? Like
okay, it would be more complex than just a fucking Discord.
100%. Sorry, just an example, but like
I know what you mean. It would be on the back end of stuff where like if the website doesn't detect, if like Twitch doesn't detect you have a season pass, you can't access the stream. Anyway, let me tell you something, because I know this would work because that's what the Overwatch League did. They had their games streamed regularly for free, but the first 2 years before COVID, they had like a premium pass thing that you could buy for like the super fans of the league. And what it would do is it would allow you to control the player cams for both VODs and when a match was watching. So if there was a specific player whose POV you wanted to watch the entire time, you could do that. They gave you the tools to do that, right? They gave you like access to player comms like after a match is over, so you could listen to them.
Sorry, I just realized you could control your own POV. Like if you wanted to just watch one player.
Yeah. So so when they stream these games, right, they have to have every player's POV live alongside like an overhead view or whatever. But during the live broadcast, it's like a TV production where there is a producer behind the scenes who's saying, all right, go to camera 1, go to camera 2, go to this player's POV, go to that player, right? Because they're trying to have like different camera angles to capture the game as a whole, right? But if you paid like for a premium pass for the Overwatch League and you're like, I really just want to watch like Tracer players, you could do that.
Bro, I would pay for that.
Yeah, it was such a great idea.
If I could watch Valorant and be like, yo, I just want to watch this person.
Yes, you could choose the player you wanted to watch, and you'd be able to watch their POV only for the entire match. You could switch to another player if you wanted to kind of basically create your own replays. Be like, hold up, I need to go back and see what happened. It was a phenomenal idea that Overwatch implemented, and it was how they made their money. You didn't have to pay if you just wanted to watch the game and just wanted to watch the outcome. No problem. It was free. But if you wanted more features, more control over your viewing experience, they had an option where you could do that. You would have to pay a subscription for it. And they made a lot of money from that because it was a fucking fantastic idea. And I don't understand why, one, they stopped doing that, and number two, why no other game has adopted that. It's probably, I would say, that's the solution. It's the best way to move forward in terms of generating more revenue for your esports game while also not pissing off casual gamers that just want to watch the match, because we've already gotten used to watching matches for free. All right? Like, I know I said earlier that the solution is to charge people, but if all of a sudden every esports team was like, or every esports game was like, yeah, if you want to watch games, you now have to like subscribe to the channel or whatever, nobody would fucking tune in. All right, everyone would just wait until somebody re-uploads the VOD somewhere else.
I feel like that's kind of relatable to the whole Twitter blue thing. Everyone and their mother was like, "No, I'm not paying for a check mark." Blah blah blah. Bro, I want stats on how many people have a check mark, on how many people actually paid to have that check mark.
Not as many as Elon was hoping, because he keeps raising the price.
That's fair, but it's still more than like what people expected originally.
No, I disagree. I disagree. I think it was less. I actually don't see that many check marks anymore. I know I'm banned on Twitter, but I can still, yeah. Pretty much every important person that I cared about, at least in like the gaming sphere, just don't pay for check marks. They just said, "Fuck it, I'm not going to pay for this shit." They're just not.
Okay.
I know LeBron James doesn't have a check mark, and he's fucking LeBron James, and he's just like, "No, this is stupid. I'm not paying $8. It's $11 now, first of all, but."
It's 11, Jesus. Anyways,
yeah.
Moving on from Twitter, that's like what that not the right word, reminds me of, right? Like, I feel like it would be bad at the start, right? As long as it's handled correctly, though, I think that would be a better term move. And I think we as a gaming community should be backing it, right? Like, if we want to continue to enjoy these types of things, tournaments and these teams, we need to be able to support the players being able to survive. This is their job at that point, right?
Here's so we've reached the part of this discussion that I am worried about, because I'm gonna say some things that you're not gonna like. Okay?
Okay.
The general gaming audience does not give a shit about esports. They just don't. They really, really don't. And it's like, it's going to be even harder to turn more casual fans into competitive fans if it's gated by like a price point or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just, it's like, imagine if we use the traditional sports as an example. Someone was like, hey, I love baseball. They were telling their friend, I love baseball. Do you want to like be a baseball fan with me? And they were considering, they were like, yeah, sure. Okay. It's like, cool. But the only way to watch baseball is to, pay for like a $20 ticket. And they're like, well, no, I don't even know if I like baseball. Like, why would I pay $20 to go to a baseball game and I'm not, you know what I mean? And it's going to be the same thing with esports. I think if they were to do that, there are going to be some games that might survive and might actually thrive off of that model. But I think we're going to see way more games just fall off completely and just have their esports scene killed if they were to start putting their main games behind a paywall. I do agree that that is one possible solution because that is how traditional sports operates, but I don't think it would work as evenly for every game. Because, I mean, like, case in point, there's only maybe, like, 6, 7 traditional sports that people, like, massively enjoy watching, right? You got, like, baseball, soccer, football, basketball, what else? Tennis, maybe? Golf, possibly? And, like, am I missing one? I'm going to be missing one, and there's going to be someone that's like, oh, you forgot to mention rugby. Like, shut the fuck up. But you know what I mean? There's like 6, maybe 7. Hockey is the other one. There you go. There's like 7 sports, like franchise sports that people like watching. And like, that's about it. All the other sports people don't really care about, don't really watch, right? And so those type of sports, they can't really do what traditional sports do and like, you know, have their games, their content behind that kind of paywall because they still need to grow.
I agree with you in the sense that not every game could do it.
Yes.
However, there are plenty of games that could.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
Set some type of benchmark, right? Set some type of baseline that would help keep the general populace of esports alive, right? So for example, I wanted to pull this up. Back in 2018, 103 million viewers for the Super Bowl.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
the League of Legends Worlds Tournament had 99.6.
99. What? You cut out.
99.6 million. So to say that the average gamer does not care about esports is a little undercited. Granted, since COVID, it has declined a lot. But to have almost the same amount of viewers in one tournament as the Super Bowl and the
counter
is kind of crazy to me.
Counter offer. The Super Bowl, the majority of those stats are derived from English speaking and or primarily US based broadcasts, whereas League of Legends was a global thing. All those numbers are combined from people watching in Korea, in the United States, in Europe, and all over the world.
But
so
again,
I feel like
games are all over the world. Football is not. Baseball is not. Basketball is not. So it's totally fair to compare it when our player base is all over the world compared to a football team whose player base is usually just America.
So then should games even be trying to then follow like a franchise sports model? They have to come up with their own unique way of doing so. Their own way, like unique way of being able to generate revenue. I don't think doing what sports is doing in that case is gonna help.
Why not? What do you mean? I'm not quite understanding this question.
I feel like it is different for games because of that global audience versus a lot of the traditional sports I mentioned that are very much like US based with a few exceptions, of course. And so I'm like, if you're trying to follow a model that works for something that is primarily based in the US where your product is global, I don't think that translates very well. And that might be why a lot of esports is failing, because they're trying, at least for cases like the Overwatch League, to follow a traditional sports model and it just hasn't worked. And it's just not going to work.
Either that needs to happen or the companies that make these games need to have some type of leeway into how the organizations can take care of their teams, because obviously these organizations are limited by whatever types of contracts they go into with the designer of the the designer of the company makes so much money off of game sales alone. They get their cut from whatever, and I think they take so much out of the organizations that there's almost nothing left to give to the players, and then it's just a downward spiral. Shit rolls downhill, right? So if we can't develop something on the streaming platforms due to the worldwide basis, the worldwide viewing populace, then it needs to get brought down into the specifics. Because if they gave each individual organization their own leeway with that stuff a little bit more, then SKT could make rules and do whatever they need to pay, and they're local Korea, and they can do whatever they need to do. Cloud9, who's North American, can do what they need to do. Crew, who is a Brazilian team, could do what they need to do and actually take care of the players. But it's a worldwide. Hold on. Let me rephrase. It's not even a worldwide issue, I feel like, for most competitive teams. I feel like a lot of competitive teams over the world are taken care of. Yeah. I don't hear very much about players walking out of EU or Brazil or Oceania. It's usually America anyways, is where we run into these problems. So yes, we have that wide viewership, but it's like the issues we're having are mostly focused in NA, fucking greediest country in the world here. So maybe it does just need to be an NA streaming offer, right? Like fix the NA teams. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just not seeing it, but I don't really hear about these other teams, these other organizations having of players walking out because they're not being taken care
of. I think people would just resort to using like VPNs if that's the case, honestly. I'm really trying to drive the point home. I really don't think esports is as interesting to the general gaming population as people who like esports would want to believe it is. And it's to say, like, if you go to any sort of like, for example, like a subreddit, right? A lot of gaming subreddits have like dedicated like sister subreddits for the competitive scene for their game, and almost all of them are just never as active as like the main sub. Just because like most people that play games are casual gamers, and it's not impossible to convert a casual player into a esports watcher. I mean, that's what happened with me in Overwatch. I had no interest in really like esports at all, and then Overwatch comes out, I play the game, really like it, and then I'm like, hey, there's gonna be a competitive scene. Cool, I guess I'll tune into that, right? But it's just, I don't know. It's hard to sell people who just play games casually to be like, hey, why don't you want to dedicate more of your time to watching the game instead of like playing it, when they may barely have time to actually play the game at all. I just think it's really, it's like such a niche thing. I feel like gaming in general has to continue to grow a little bit more.
But I guess my point is, regardless of if you're a casual or esports, like I'm really not that into keep up with it on a very minimal basis. But if we were to just lose esports as a whole, that would suck for everyone. Regardless of your commitment to it, you could be that casual gamer, and it's like going to Chick-fil-A on Sunday. You're like, oh, I want to watch fucking whoever play. Oh, shit. There's no more esports.
Right.
It's like going Chick-fil-A on Sunday. You want it, and then suddenly it's not there, or they're closed, or whatever the fuck it is. And it's just like, I don't care how much of into it you are. I guarantee you it'll affect you if esports in the near future, maybe not near, maybe like 5 to 10 years, was just to completely go away because players just aren't getting paid. And so there is no more teams. There is no more anything, right? Like, it would suck for solo tournaments, right? It would team organizations. It would suck for content growth. Like, you get so many clips and things from this tournament that get memes made out of them and other things like that. People get their names known from this and grow. There's a lot that goes into it rather than just the casual base who sometimes watches it, right?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm just saying that there are more people that play the game than people that watch it. That's it. That's really the
absolutely. I mean, what, you look at a game sales and it says few 100 million. You don't ever see million watching.
No, of course not.
I understand that completely. It's just something has to be like, esports in my mind will go away if players are not at least in NA. Like, NA might just drop out of esports if shit doesn't get taken care of. I mean, if you think about it, right? Like, if we flip the subject a little bit and talk about like gaming companies, how many AAA companies over the years that kind of just stopped caring have made absolutely shit games that people are like excited about and are like, what the fuck is this? Right? It's like, it starts off strong, but then just fucking goes away. And that's something like I don't want to see happen, because I feel like we talked about it when we were kids. It was no game. Okay, there's like an opportunity for people like us, kids that are younger than us, to like have some type of chance. And I don't want to see it go back to the way it was, where it's just a hobby, like a boring hobby that no one thinks of in any way other than that.
I don't think it will. I don't think it will, because you have the content creator side of things when it comes to gaming. It just might not
AI
be.
takes over.
That's also true, but I don't think I don't think it'll ever really go away. I think it. I do think that there's going to have to be some sort of shakeup, and not every, because what I wanted to go back to is that other discussion about how, like, if they do decide to maybe like put their games behind a paywall, not every game is going to survive. But I also feel like not every game needs to have a competitive scene. You know what I mean?
I would agree with you on that point.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Like, a case in point is Fortnite for me. I have never, ever, ever understood how you could make a, competitively, a competitive version of a battle royale with how much, like, RNG happens in those games. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like how can you keep the integrity and the spirit of competition alive and well when there are so many factors out of your control? Things like where other players go when they land, what kind of equipment you're able to get first. It's just like, I don't know. And we make jokes about it all the time. Like, I've definitely joked about competitive Among Us before, because it's funny. Among Us Esports, the idea of Among Us Esports is hilarious to me. But yeah, not every game, even games that like are quote unquote competitive, that maybe have like a ranked mode, not every single one of those games needs to be esports,
And I think this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with like team-based versus solo, right? Like, I don't think there's any real problem if you want to hold, right? But I wouldn't consider that necessarily esports or anything like that. Like, in my mind, when I think team-based tac shooter, right? You got the Siege, you got the CSGO, you got the Valorant, you got the Call, you got all sorts of variations of those. I think like that is like esports. You got a team putting their strategy up against another team's strategy. Better team is. Not, I'm going to drop here and hope that this chest or whatever gives me a gold scar. Or whatever the fuck happens in Fortnite now. They got lightsabers and shit. I don't know. I'm going to stop keeping them. But like, that, cool. Go hold a little tournament for money out down in Vegas or some shit. Cool.
Yeah, I think I think events for games like that are fine, but I don't know. It's just having a whole competitive scene just doesn't make sense for every single game. I think that's kind of like
and
the point I'm trying to make.
I would agree with you on that. I don't think they do. I'm just strictly talking about like main titles right now, like just the issues that we are currently having. And I don't really think I hear much about issues with non-main titles, right? Like, I hear some stuff you brought up over, right? That was a pretty big title for a while. I hear stuff about Rocket League. Rocket League's within the Rocket League pretty well. Like, the vast majority of the player base actually watches RLCS. So that's actually a pretty big one. League of Legends, obviously. Siege, I used to watch it. I don't know viewer bases for that. I couldn't tell you. But things like that. And just with the current issues we're having, I wish there was something that could be done. Obviously, we're all just fucking spitting shit. I can't talk right now. We're just talking. Spitballing. There you go. We're just fucking saying whatever we can. Obviously, there's not much we can do. But I mean, it would be cool to see if these organizations can actually make a change to keep NA esports more alive than what it's showing it's going to be. Like, maybe it doesn't completely die, but I don't want to see poor production quality either. I don't want to see it get super cheap and it's just like, oh yeah, here's this. Fun. Watch it. You know what I'm saying?
I would actually be more interested if it was like that. Yeah, I think
we're so opposite. We're so fucking opposite.
I think it would be hilarious. Imagine like a Valorant tournament, but the logo was drawn by like somebody's kid. I think that'd be funny, you know. And they hired like some dollar store like commentators with Walmart microphones, right?
Oh my goodness.
Because when I think of esports, I think of like old school Smash Bros. Melee, where that was the type of quality you would get, and there's like a really like nostalgic charm to it, you know. A lot of the most famous clips came from that era, right? I don't know if you've heard of Wombo Combo, but like, goddamn, the audio quality of that sucks. You know, you just had two guys fucking screaming, "Oh, Happy Feet, Wombo Combo! Oh, where are you at?" You know, just fucking screaming into their like headset microphones. But that lack of professionalism almost is what made it so endearing and stand the test of time. And I feel like that makes it a lot more interesting to me. I don't like it when things get way too corporate. And I think that's because like I'm an Overwatch player, and that's kind of what sort of happened, you know? Before the Overwatch leagues, there was already a very healthy competitive Overwatch scene, right? Organizations getting into tournaments being held regionally, and then, you know, tournament organizers, kind of like Smash Bros, were fronting the production side of things. And they did a pretty good job with the limited resources they had, and especially for a newer game, it was great. All of a sudden, you know, Blizzard steps in, and they're like, we want a piece of that pie. We're going to start our own league, and it's going to be the premier tier 1 league. Everything gets like super corporate, and it kind of loses a bit of its charm. You know, it just makes it less interesting. It was fine the first couple seasons, but I don't know. I'm just not that interested anymore. I want to see players. I want to see gamers. And when you have a super, like, you know, clean cut, you know, pro league and all that, it just takes all the interest, all the character out of it for me. I don't know. I guess that side of esports is something I wouldn't personally miss, because I don't feel like it's what's truly at the heart of esports. But again, that's just my side of things.
Okay. So what would be your final thoughts then? Let's wrap this up with some final thoughts on where you think it's going, what things you would or would not like to change in esports in general. It would be most titles.
I would like to see games come up with more creative solutions that make sense for their particular game, for their particular audience. Again, something like the Overwatch like POV selector was a fantastic idea. And nobody ever had a problem buying that, because it's like, it was something new. It was something innovative. It was like, if you just want to watch the broadcast, it's available. But if you want a more in-depth experience, then you can pay for it. And that would be a healthier source of revenue that would make sense and would help keep that game's competitive scene alive. I want to see games innovate more. I want to see them stop trying to be like traditional franchise sports, and really listen to their audience and their viewers, because at the end of the day, that's the thing keeping it alive. It's not the production or the amount of money or even the players themselves. Sometimes it's the people watching, because if nobody's watching esports, is it even really a thing?
Okay, I agree. I don't know. I am on the spectrum. I want the players to be taken care of, right? Like, I'm one of those people, I love to watch the games. I love to see how the players play the game. Like, I learn, right? I love watching and learning from that. But at the same time, I can see where the general populace might not be on that same page. It's like, whatever. Or maybe it's background noise. They're just listening, and whenever the loud, like in soccer, go, you look, and you're like, what happened?
That's how I watch soccer. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love when that guy goes, goal! You know, that's my favorite part.
So, I mean, in the same sense, right? Like you were talking about on my side, I'm like, okay, well, if there's no players, there's nothing. So, I don't know. Obviously, it's getting to that point. Like, there's been so much drama just in the past 4-5 months with esports and NA over multiple different games. So obviously something has to be done. Whatever it is, I think your idea is something individual per game is probably the way to go, because every game is different, and if different ways to gently, like, it has to be reasonable, monetize it a little bit more for their players, right? Like something that's like, hey, paying for this, all profits directly go divvied up into the 10. Like I was talking about League earlier, they have 10 NA teams. All of this, whatever revenue comes from this, gets divided into those 10 NA teams, pay for players, like whatever it is. But it gets divided and goes directly to that, nothing else. That would be something cool. I'd be like, okay, I'll pay for that. If it helps the players, keeps their job, and I get something to watch, cool.
Yeah, Valorant does do one thing that's kind of similar to that, don't they? Every single year for VCT, they offer like a skin bundle, right? And where
the championship bundle.
Yeah, where part of the proceeds from buying this cosmetic item goes towards, I think, like the payouts for the players and all that stuff. So, you know, that's a Valorant unique idea for supporting their competitive scene is, you know, you give the players something that they can use in their game, and then the money from that goes to the professional players.
And I like something like that. Honestly, I'm being 100% honest. I actually didn't know that. I just knew that the championship bundle came out around VCT. It was really cool. I loved it. I actually had no idea about seeds for that. I never looked into it.
Yeah, they do. I don't think it's 100% because obviously Riot. I don't know the exact number, but I do know that they've stated that before, where part of the proceeds of that purchase does go towards the players. Again, I'm not 100% sure on like how they divvy that up, or if it's towards the payouts or whatever. I imagine it's towards the VCT payout for, you know, final placings and all that, but
yeah,
it's something like that. Yeah.
And like anything like that, just a little bit more that actually support the players, right? Like anyone that's ever played games, even on like, there are obviously those people that play games for get stressed out. They're just like, oh, whatever. Well, I'm getting over this and we'll get off. But then there's those people that still play for fun and play with buddies. But like most people have like a natural competitiveness that they feel some type of stress and they have the ups and downs. Dopamine, games are going really bad. They kind of get that like stress, like fuck. Like most people have that. So like imagine that now, bigger scene, right? And you have the practices and the scrimmages and the lights. Like I can tell you from my experience cheerleading and competing on like these big stages with thousands of watchers and big lights just shining in your face, like I'm only up on that stage for 2.5 minutes and fucking I know being backstage I'm like, my heart is pumping out my chest. Like anyone who's ever done any type of performance at all knows that feeling. So that's my thing. I'm 100% backing the players in 95% of these, and so I guess that's where like my final thoughts. Players fucking all day, because in the end of the day, if I only watch the people I like to watch. So I mean, if all the players are gone, now I have no one to care about the game. I watch for the people, right? And then I go to that person's stream or a couple people stream and I watch them. You know what I'm saying?
True. At the end of the day, you're right. It is. I think it's both. You know, I was talking about the people watching. You're talking about the people playing. I think both are equally important. And I think the way the esports scene is today, I think both sides have kind of been forgotten about.
100%. All right, this is going out to all you gaming organizations. We're looking at you. All right.
Yeah, because two guys in a podcast have a lot of, you know, a lot of
we're
leeway.
Not just two guys. We're two trash guys. All right.
Very, very true.
We
and
have
this
a
has
lot
been
of people here.
Another episode of the Trash Guys.
Indeed. Anyways, everyone, we will catch you on next week's episode. Don't be late. Wednesday, 9 p.m. PST, unless...
Yeah, don't be late, because we will. We have yet 12 episodes, and we have yet to be on time. We'll get there someday. You know what? It's a season 2 thing. It's a season 2 thing.
Yeah. Season 2. We're going to more about it. Okay?
We'll be more punctual in season 2.
And we will see you guys next week.
Yeah, you guys won't see me until next week.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, take care. See you later. Eat your veggies. Goodbye. What do you mean no?